Hello, this is Bonnie, and today I'm going to be doing some stamping and fussy cutting, I think, to make a card using some of the paper that's a little bit, has a little bit more design on it to show you how you can use it. So I am going to be using the sentiment, at least I'm planning on using the sentiment Braver, and that one you can see says, remember, you are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, and loved more than you know. I am also going to be using the Wild Roses. I tend to use this one a lot, and I'm going to be using roses. And this one's going to be really easy to fussy cut. So that's one of the reasons I'm going to be using that. So in the paper, which I told you is looks like it's a little bit busier, is going to be perfect for what I want to do in terms of fussy cutting. So I'm also going to be using just a plain white cardstock background. This is probably 5.5. And from this paper pad, I'm going to be using this paper. Now, you can go through any of this in here and go through what I tend to try to do with this is I basically take the sheet that the stamp comes with, and I'm just going to be putting it over there and kind of like auditioning all the different colors, how I would like that rose to look. You can do that with any of the papers in there. This one makes it a little bit darker, but I mean, just to show you how you can figure out what papers you would like to fussy cut, because this gives you a variety and it'll be really pretty. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and get my stamp platform set up. Okay, so for this part, I am going to be using VersaFine Clear Nocturne. And just like I said, I want to see if I want to get as many out of this one particular paper as I can. So all I really need is the bloom. So I've got that one set up, and so that's all I'm going to do is, I got this backwards, is I am going to be, maybe I don't, hold on a minute. I had it the right way, I just held this wrong. There we go. So yeah, I'm just going to be stamping that. I'm not going to really stamp the leaves at all. They will get stamped because it's too hard to fussy stamp those areas. But I do know I need that piece of paper back behind here. I'm going to get that everywhere on my pad, which I've done. All right, let's try that. All right, we'll get going. So, and I know that I'm probably going to, because I'm going to be stamping the whole thing all over, I'm going to probably have to cut back as I'm stamping. It looks like that's not going to hold that down very good for me. All right, it's hard to just see that part, but it's going to work. I'm going to go ahead and get the ones closer to the bottom first, and then I'm going to have to probably cut the paper away. Because otherwise I will be stamping the leaves on top of what I already stamped. Oops, got ink there. And even if I can't, I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and do these, even if I don't end up using them, because I know that I want to use up that space. Might as well. I'm not going to go for the dark spaces up here. I'm just going to try to do the lighter ones. And you see, really, you can't, it's not that easy to see it on this paper. It's a little bit busier, like I said, but it's going to work for what I want to do. Okay. So now I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this away so I can continue stamping on this paper so I don't overlap it with the leaves. So I'll show you what I mean. Might as well show you. I'm going to get as close as I can to that because I want to get as much as that paper above as I can. Okay. I'll put that right back on. It's called Fussy Stamping and Fussy Cutting. All right, I really want to get this brighter part. I'll make sure I get the whole thing in there. So I think you're kind of understanding what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to fussy stamp, and then I'm going to fussy cut the blooms. And then of course that's right there where I don't want it to be. I'm going to probably put more ink. Well, actually I got it, that will work. Okay, so try to get a little bit of the light here. And I don't really want to overlap. But I also want to be able to get some of that up above. So I'm not trying to waste my space. All right. Now I think I won't have to cut away from this one. I can just probably stamp on the other side. So I think all I'm going to do is just, instead of turning my paper around, I'm just going to turn my platform around. Make it a little bit quicker, maybe. Okay. I'm going to have to tape that down better. I think that's all I'm going to get out of this one because this is going to be too dark over here, I believe. All right. So like I said, I think you can see what I'm trying to do. Each paper is different in what you decide to stamp on. So I'm going to go ahead and get those fussy cut out, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have all of the flowers fussy cut out. I'm choosing to use 4 of them instead of the 5 that I did stamp. I'll save the other one for another card. And I know that I'm going to be putting the sentiment down here in the bottom corner. So I'm going to go ahead and get that stamped. And I'm going to be using, whoops, if I can hold my hand steady. I'm going to be using VersaFine Clear Nocturne for the sentiment. All right, that looks good. There are small letters on here. You can stamp it a second time, but I'm not going to. It's going to be fine. And I'm going to be using Distress Oxide, or not Oxide, Distress Ink Lost Shadow. And I'm going to be doing that with the Wild Roses. They're just going to be randomly behind, not really randomly, sort of randomly. I just know where I'm going to be putting my roses. And so I'm going to be stamping these like as a backdrop. And that's why I wanted to use the Distress Ink Lost Shadow, because I know that it's not real prominent. You'll see it, but it's not. I don't know if I've used the ink. I know I've used the oxide. So, you know what? I'm going to use the oxide because I know that it's lighter a little bit. Yeah, you can see the difference. Just let me show you the difference between the two just looking. So yeah, I'm going to be using the oxide. And I'm not stamping on top of this, so it doesn't really matter. Now what I like to do, I tend to rub it. I don't know, you didn't really see me do that. I'll do it again in a minute. Again, I don't care if it's not a full, I just want it to be back, you know, for the backdrop. Subtle. And I mean, I could stamp that again, but I'm sure that it's fine for what I want to do. So I want to show you how I ink it up. I actually just swirl it across it. I just want it to be covered. And of course now I have to move it, so I have to do it again. It doesn't matter if I set this on here even wet. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I think I'm going to go like this. I'm going to cover the white space as best I can, even if it overlaps. Okay. Yep, you can see like how it's going. It doesn't really have a really major thing to it. Design, just a background. So I know I still want to do it here. I'm even deciding, I think I might even, well, that's upside down. I mean, it is upside down, and sometimes it looks upside down, so I don't want it to really look upside down. So it is going to go there. I got to move my tape. Okay. And I'm not too concerned about right here because it's going to be covered up. And I'm not so concerned about down here, but I still might add it just so that it's there in case something peeks through, which I don't think it's gonna, but oops. Here we go. Like I said, I know it looks random, but that's what I want it to be. I'll put this paper down here because I am going to put some down here just because I want it a little bit in the background. I'm just trying to cover up the space, the white space. Okay. And I might go up there in the corner even though it's probably not going to show. I don't want to go over the sentiment. Okay. So you can see, like I said, it's just random. I am going to get that little spot. And I don't really care if that's upside down. All right, so that's what I want for the background. I don't know, I could probably get a little bit here. And we're going to go ahead and do that. All right, so you can see how that's kind of all over. And I really do like the oxide version. It's just kind of subtle, and it's just kind of like the way I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off and then show you how I'm going to arrange the blooms. Okay, so this is how I arranged the blooms. All I did was I just put them randomly around the outside, and then I just glued them down the way they are. So the next thing I'm going to do is, again, this is going to stay subtle in the back, but I'm going to add a very slight amount of color with my Prismacolor pencils to the blooms back here. Just so that it kind of like ties all in together, though I think it looks great like that. And I am not going to cut away these parts that are on the edge because this is a little bit smaller than a 6x6, so I can have the overlap. So I'll be right back after I put a little bit of color on those. Okay, so I have matted that with a dark gray and then put it on a black card base. and I did color in a little bit of the flowers with, very lightly with Prismacolor pencils. I actually did a very light pink and then a light yellow and then a little bit darker on the edge, and then went back over with a white pencil to soften that even more. So that's the finished card. I hope that inspired you to be able to use some of the papers that you might consider being busy just to stamp on. And like I said, even if this looks a little bit still busy, there's other papers that are plain that you still could do this concept with and get really a pretty simple card. So thank you for stopping by, and I will have the information below in the description for what I used. Thanks so much.